Hello and welcome to another permanent ankle shackle vlog for day 60. This is going to be a really long one because I'm going to explain Facility 5. This should probably be its own video, but I decided to put it on day 60. So here you go. So Facility 5 is a private contract prison that up until now has been super secretive. Prisoners are only accepted into the facility under special invite, and they currently have a long waiting list for new prisoners. It's not entirely clear as to why they're letting me talk about it and later allowing me to shoot a vlog and a web series within the prison, but I can only speculate that they plan on expanding the prison and maybe opening the prison to an exclusive public. But this is only speculation. But based on the fact that they have been extremely secret thus far, requiring everyone who steps foot on the property to sign an aggressive non-disclosure agreement, I can only assume that they're going to be doing something different. So Facility 5, which by the way isn't even the official name, it's being referred to as such because of the order in which it was opened, being that 4 other facilities existed before. The first facility apparently started in the early 70s, somewhere in Europe, and was originally a rehab center for teens after the founder lost his teenage daughter to a drug overdose. The original facility was the furthest from a prison as you can get. Built as a resort-style rehab in a remote location surrounded by mountains and forests, the only other option in the area was drug rehabilitation was a secure mental facility where kids were reported to have been kept in restraints and abused. The very reason that the founder never sent his daughter for help. With some guilt, and after leveraging every cent he had and going into debt, he bought land in the middle of nowhere and built Facility 1. That facility grew quickly as like-minded parents who didn't want to send their kids to a dungeon wanted their kids to get straight without restraints and all that stuff at the current situation. So the only security at the facility, the first facility, was its remote location and surrounding rough terrain. No locked doors, no fences, just open space and fresh mountain air. Unfortunately, they underestimated the addiction of some patients, and even though it was impossible to escape through the rough terrain, it didn't stop kids from trying. Soon kids were escaping into the woods on a weekly basis, forcing local search and rescue as well as law enforcement to be brought in for weekly searches. This was bad, obviously, in itself, as local government started billing the facility for that work. The facility was not built to lock people up and was denied a permit to do so due to fire code. So they instituted the barefoot rule. The rule required everyone on the property to remain barefoot, patients, staff, and visitors, believing that it would deter kids from trying to escape with bare feet through the surrounding terrain. It seemed the best option. However, while it did reduce the attempts, it didn't stop them, and finally, the first death. A young 14-year-old girl was found dead after being lost in the forest for 5 days. This brought massive negative attention to the facility, and the founder gave up. He announced that the facility would be closed. However, shortly after, his grandson took over the facility with a new plan. The new plan was borrowed from other rehab facilities in third world countries where patients had their feet shackled to keep them from escaping. This shackling allowed patients to escape their rooms in case of fire and created a very strong deterrent against escape. So every patient was permanently shackled and kept barefoot during their stay at the facility. And while this new policy worked well to deter escape and drastically reduced the range that escapees were able to reach before being discovered missing, it brought more negative attention from nearby towns. Parents started pulling their kids from the facility, and the facility gained a bad reputation, eventually being used as a threat to keep kids in line. If you don't behave, you will be chained up and locked away. The facility was falling apart, or failing. Most of the good medical staff resigned, leaving only the staff that were acting as security guards, making the facility more of a juvenile prison rather than a rehab. And this forced the facility to rebrand as a private juvenile detention, even gaining support from some judges as an alternative to the already overcrowded government detention facility. The facility grew, but only slightly. As criminals were brought in, even more parents pulled their kids out. The grandson of the founder decided to monopolize on the fear factor and hired a PR company to start what would be what would be considered a viral campaign today. So, using word of mouth, he used rumor and fake stories about how a husband put his wife in chains after catching her sleeping with another man. The woman agreed to be imprisoned as punishment to avoid being divorced. The viral campaign worked as the third party imprisonment system was established, creating the third party contract system that still exists today. To be imprisoned at Facility 5, you have to sign a contract with the prison, agreeing to be imprisoned indefinitely and agreeing to the rules and requirements. Then you sign a contract as well as a power of attorney with the trusted third party, with the emphasis on trusted, because this contract and power of attorney gives the third party legal ownership of your freedom, allowing them to keep you in prison for as long as they decide, or at least until they can't afford to keep you in there anymore. The final contract is between the third party and the prison, contracting your imprisonment, setting the initial sentence, and allowing third party limited control over the conditions of your imprisonment. Once imprisoned, you are a real prisoner. You have no legal right to be released from the contract and must remain imprisoned as long as the third party decides to keep you locked up. In addition, any sentence that has been prepaid must be completed. So if my third party pays for a year up front and then changes her mind a week after, it's done. I have to stay in prison for the full year, no matter how bad she wants me out early. This third party contract has held up for decades across multiple countries, and at this moment, not one prisoner has ever been released early. While prisoners are no longer required to be permanently shackled, there isn't the option to, in the contract, once imprisoned, for prisoners to remain permanently shackled. And once implemented, the prisoners have to stay shackled until they're released from the prison. The barefoot rule is still in effect. However, it's not used to deter escape, but now used to identify and track everyone within the prison. And this is done through glass panels that are placed in front of every security door in the prison. You stand on them. The soles of your both feet are scanned and identified by footprints and shape, and size and all that stuff gets counted in. And then the cell door opens, or the security door is opened, and the prisoner or staff or visitor is allowed through that security door. This has brought down the cost of imprisonment considerably, because they don't have to hire guards to go out and take prisoners to and from their cells, and it's drastically reduced the cost of staffing. In fact, I'm told that you can go your entire sentence without ever seeing a salaried guard or staff member, because the prison is completely computerized that way, and prisoners are actually used in labor jobs at the prison. So when they bring meals to your cell and new uniforms and things like that, it's all handled by other prisoners who are on a prison labor program. So it's a pretty unique system, let's just put it that way. I just hope you have a better idea of what it's like in there, and of course I'm going to be showing what life is like in there once I'm imprisoned. I have to wait for a cell to come available, of course, but once I'm in there, I've been told that I will be allowed to shoot my vlog and possibly interview other prisoners to show what it's like to be a prisoner at Facility 5. And I hope that's good enough for you for now, but be sure to subscribe so that you'll be able to see those future videos. Like, comment, share this video, and visit my blog at shackledbarefeet.wordpress.com, and I'll see you tomorrow for day 61.